What is up, Jill? So, this is going to be a super chill, super casual stream. Anything goes. Whatevs. If anybody wants to call in, there's the link. What's up, Pitbull Mom? What's going on, Vertigo? What's up, Bird Brain? Yeah, we have nothing on the agenda. We're literally just going to hang out and shoot the shit. What's up, CJK? Welcome on in. Ha, lunchtime. It's so crazy knowing that you're on the other side of the planet. Tinfoil Hat Club, what is good? No, the status hearing for Delphi is tomorrow. What are you guys up to? CJK says, been listening to the recaps from the hearings. What, Aspen and Turbo? Me too. But I figured before I hit the sheets, before I hit the bed, I'll go live and see what you guys are up to. Bird Brain says, sick husband keeps me busy, rarely can get on. Well, good to see you. Yeah, I'm glad tomorrow's Friday too. We got hit with a big storm. A couple of hours after my Delphi live stream today, we got hit with some pretty strong winds, lightning, rain, flash flood warnings. Saw a pool go flying in the air. Just finished watching your live from earlier. Yeah, apparently a lot of people are upset about that. Whatever. Yeah, I think we might have got hit with the same storm. It looked like it was coming from the south. Julia, what is up? Yeah, yesterday's live stream was really good. So this morning I did a little bit of a follow-up. A lot of people were triggered. It is what it is. Oh, yeah, I seen your little avatar changed into the Chiefs logo. Oh, yesterday was really good. This morning was just more of a follow-up discussion on it, but yesterday, yeah, it was a really good live stream. Apparently I ruffled a few feathers. Pitbull says, I'm not upset at all. I thought yesterday was good as well. So did I. Cheeks, what's up? Still don't know what was triggering people about that live. Neither do I. They're just they join a cult and there's a gospel, when you join a cult. Anytime you go against that gospel, some people can't handle it. People are just so set on Richard Allen being 100% guilty. And I think he's a guilty man too. But anytime you challenge that, some people can't, they just can't handle it. Or when you say things like, don't be a sheep. Well, if you're not a sheeple or a sheep, right, then obviously I'm not talking to you. But anybody that gets offended by it, they're obviously they think of themselves as sheep. It's like the old saying, if the shoe fits, wear it, right? But if it doesn't, don't put that motherfucker on. Sorry, this shoe does not fit my foot. Sometimes they don't even realize that. But whatever. Birdbrain says, missed all the hearings info. What's happening tomorrow? Tomorrow is going to be a status hearing. It's where they kind of talk about what they're going to present, make sure that all the discovery has been presented, that there's no secrets, nothing hidden. And typically that's where they will discuss whether or not, well, they're going to be looking for an alternative to trial. Can they come to an agreement without going to trial? So status hearings are usually you'll get a plea bargain, or they'll begin the negotiating for a plea bargain, or they'll just straight up say we're not interested in a plea bargain, or we're not offering you a plea. Julia says, I don't know if your lives could trigger anyone, although I haven't watched them, but I know your style. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it's them problem, not a you problem. Well, anytime you go against somebody's narrative, sometimes it's hard to handle. Guess some folks are just hanging on by a thread. Yeah. Good for you guys. I'm sure they appreciate you. Be nice to have somebody to take care of you when you're going through a hard time. Yeah, each to their own. And I respect everybody's opinion. I just ask that, you don't be rude. And of course, I'm not talking to you guys. I'm not talking to the crew. Because you guys know the name of the game. But yeah, everybody's welcome here. All opinions are welcome. Just don't act like a trigger troll, and don't be rude. And don't say things that'll be hurtful to victims' families. Pretty simple. Other than that, we can have a great conversation and just chill. If you guys weren't doing anything like I was, well, here we are. Now we're doing something. What's up, Audra? Cheek says, well, nobody knows everything about the case, and people who say that they do are wrong. 100%. We know what we're told, leaked. Well, I'll find out soon what's up. From what I see so far, I see a guilty man. And I agree with that. That's why all I'm saying is I don't need to hang on to things, right? Like confessions and things like that they won't tell us about. I'm not just going to blindly say, oh, well, he confessed, so he's obviously guilty. I don't need those confessions. I think he's guilty without them. Pitbull, I like dogs much better than a lot of people. Well, dogs are loyal. Most of them, anyway. It's rare to find people that are loyal. What's up, Jill? Boston Christian, how are you? I'm still surprised you managed to make people feel that way. You're the least in your face with it when it comes to what you think. Some of these creators berate the hell out of those who disagree. There's some people that just like yell. They're just yelling at the screen, calling people from Indiana hillbillies. Like, what the fuck? Julie says the true crime community has a big ego problem, which gets in the way of what really matters with all of these cases. And that's what we talked about. We talked about fragile egos. And if you don't have a fragile ego, then I'm really not talking about you, right? But if the shoe fits, you're going to be offended. So if you're offended by somebody calling you a sheep or talking about fragile egos, if you're offended by that, then you're accepting that that is you. You've put on the shoe. And you're walking around with it. You're even running around, like you did when you were a little kid. Remember when you get a new pair of shoes and you thought you could run faster? That's you. And if it's not you, it's not you. Let's welcome Kiwi. What's up, Kiwi?
Hey, I didn't mean to really come on here live. I was just trying to send you some money.
Oh, yeah?
uh-huh.
Well, that's nice of you. You're going to hit up the Cash App?
I'm not like really skilled with these things, so I kind of messed up. But I'm here, so
yeah. What's on your mind? What's going on?
Well, I'm actually here in Castle Rock. It's been a really blustery day in the afternoon with the monsoons, and yeah, we're just getting settled in here. My son has moved over here. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about the program because I haven't been listening. I just wanted to send you a cash out.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
But I'm so like not good with all this stuff that I accidentally got on here instead. So you want to ask anything?
Do you want me to kick you out of here, or you want to talk about? We're not talking about anything really. We're just shooting the shit.
Okay. Yeah, I'm talking to yeah, I'll shoot the shit a little bit with you since I'm here.
Yeah, well, welcome on in.
Thank you. But I missed most of the program, so I don't know what topic you're on right now.
No topic. We are on. This is just a WHATEVS live stream. We typically these live streams end up getting kicked out by or blocked by YouTube because we're playing copyrighted content, and we just do whatever we want on these. Sometimes we play music and stuff, but.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got mixed feelings because I've heard so many different things, and I try to ignore most of them because they're just too off the wall. They're from family members that are not really family. So I don't know. I guess there are two paths that you can kind of go on with this, and there could be other people involved or not other people involved. It could just be one guy who just kind of lost it. or it could be a whole planned thing, which I'm kind of going in that direction. Just because of the Karina thing. Um, but
What, Karina McClurkin?
yeah,
Hmm.
because of what happened with her, and I'm kind of wondering if maybe the same type of thing was happening with Abby and Libby.
Yeah, I mean, there could be something that we don't know of, like some kind of an inappropriate relationship.
Yeah, but I don't know how inappropriate. Like maybe they just found out some things that were going
I
on.
don't know. We've kind of looked into a lot of these child predators that they've been convicted, they've done their time, and they're willing to talk with people and kind of educate us on what to look for. And
Hmm.
Libby kind of fits right into that. She comes from a troubled background. She was adopted, and usually when you end up living with your grandparents, they just kind of spoil you, right? They don't want to make things more difficult on you.
Well, there was a big age generation. There was a generation gap there too,
Yep.
and the grandparents dealt with a whole different set of issues than they did with Abby and Libby were dealing with. With I can't even catch up to my kids on social media. So, and they're in their 20s now. So, um, I can only imagine what Becky was trying to deal with there, and you know, maybe Tara had some insights that helped them a little bit, being a younger person, and having younger kids. So I just don't know. I just know it's extremely difficult having kids and keeping them away from all of this stuff.
Yeah, I think it was I don't know if it was a live stream or a news broadcast, but I guess a lot of kids are on this game called Roblox. You heard of that?
No, mm-mm.
Well, it's this game you can kind of run around in a simulated world and you kind of build your own little home, your own little farm, things like that. Well, other users can come and see you and they can talk to you and message you and ask you questions and things like that. And I guess a lot of predators are using that to groom kids and gain access to their Wi-Fi and stuff like that.
Super scary.
That's terrifying.
Super scary. And you can warn your kids and you can tell them about all of these things, and they still, until they're involved in the middle of something like that, they don't even really understand.
It
They
reminds me of Stranger Danger, you know.
Yeah.
But as a kid, you really don't. You kind of take it for granted. You're like Stranger Danger, like of course I'm not going to get in someone's van, but you really got to explain to them about grooming and how it's like a real subtle process. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they
Like,
break you down.
it's not even getting into someone's van now. It's like meeting someone in the park, somebody that you might have met. And, when I was growing up, that wasn't even an issue.
Mm-mm.
Um, we knew who we were talking to and who we were meeting with. And um, it took a lot more effort to get there. But yeah, even my son was asking about the dark web, and I've never been on it, and I'm afraid to ever go on it. But when he was a lot younger, he was telling me things about it that made me wonder if he'd ever been on it. So, I don't even know.
Yeah,
But
it doesn't take much to access it.
yeah,
You just need a certain browser. But I think Keegan Klein was a good example of what we were just referring to with his whole Emily Ann 45 account.
yeah, I think he was way down. Way, I think he was way further down that path than we can even imagine.
Yeah, but it's just really creepy to think that you have people, they go online acting as if they're 13-year-old girls. They become friends with 13-year-old girls. And then the entire time they're grooming them and talking about how great their brother is, right? They have an older brother. Or my dad's asking about you.
Hmm.
Oh, really? Your dad? Okay. And then 5 months go by, this entire grooming process. And now it's time to talk to dad, which has really been
Well,
Emily Ann the whole time.
I definitely think Tony Klein had a lot to do with it. I don't know about the red Jeep and all of that. I don't know how much of that was true. Like on your earlier live, you said something about him possibly throwing his dad under the bus to get time off and all of that.
Yeah, that's hard. That's a hard one, right? Like, why would anybody do that?
Hmm,
It
to
just
get
doesn't make sense.
time off, and
You got
it
to prove it though.
yeah, and they didn't.
And very strange for him to do that.
Yeah, they didn't. They didn't prove it. They couldn't prove it, is what they said. But um, he will never see a dime from his dad. That's for sure.
Yeah, he threw that all away. So why would he lie knowing that that would happen? God, this is such a messed up case.
It could be a possibility. It still could be a possibility, or it could have just been a tactic to get less time. But I do believe that he knew something about um, RA, and that he was trying to. I think that he's under some kind of protection. I do believe that.
I think it's possible. I mean, why would he make up this story about being there and his father basically taking part in the murders? I just don't understand that. And this is really after he already kind of faced all his charges and all that stuff. Like he
Hmm.
wasn't getting anything out of it.
He
Maybe
was
attention.
possibly getting time off if they, but he knew that they wouldn't be able to prove it if it wasn't true. So who knows, really? You know.
He did get a lot of attention. He was doing all these interviews
And he
and
did want attention, yeah. And a lot of people were looking for attention from him.
notoriety.
Interesting, yeah.
Hmm.
But, um, I don't know. I still think he's involved. I think it was too close to home. I think there are too many ties involved.
Well, Keegan's cousin lived in Mexico, and
With
his
us, um, yeah, what's his name? Travis or Trexler?
no, not Travis. He lived in Peru.
Mm-hmm.
The other one, and his daughter's name was Emily Ann.
Mm-hmm. That's creepy
So
too. And I did see a picture of her on his lap, and she was a tiny little girl. And that was the same with other creators too had Emily Ann. I don't know if that was a purposeful name or.
well, Ann is the middle name of all the girls too in Richard Allen's family. So I don't know if that means anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess we'll be finding out soon.
I think sooner than later.
Yeah. Okay, Sleuth. Well, I was really just trying to donate some money to your cause because I bought my fleecy thing the other time, and I always wanted to do something more for the show.
I appreciate that.
And somehow I ended up on here, which I swore would never happen in my lifetime. But,
Well, I'm glad you did. It's always good to get a call in.
and this is personal, but are you guys still like trying to make your family bigger? Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm super excited.
Yep. We sure are.
Oh, I'm super excited about that. Okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you for that.
All right. So, how do I turn off?
I can kick you out if you're ready.
Okay, kick me out and then put me in the direction of like $5 or something.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, Kiwi. Bye.
Bye.
That was Kiwi. And now we have Tinfoil Hat Club. What's up? You there? We're not getting anything from you, Tinfoil, but I have you backstage. So if you're there, Tinfoil. Yeah, and if anybody, any of the mods can post the Cash App for Kiwi, it should just be $ Sleuth Intuition.
Can you hear me now, brother?
Hey, yeah, we got
All
you. How
right.
you doing, Tinfoil? We got Tinfoil Hat Club. What's up?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, man. Yeah, so something that you were talking about in terms of like everything that goes on online and how predators are kind of accessing these children. Do you remember back in the day? Do you remember IMVU?
IMVU.
Yeah, it was
How far back are we going?
uh, like kind of like mid 2000s. I think it's
No.
actually even still a thing. But I remember like when I was in school, I'm 28. So like I remember like when I was in like sixth grade, seventh grade, it was still kind of a big thing. And pretty much what I'm trying to say is like,
It's a sim
um,
game.
yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much
I
what I'm
just
trying to
looked
say
it
is
up.
like, this whole thing with these people that have this nefarious intent, it ain't nothing new. And like, I know that you know that. And I don't know. It's just crazy, man. It's terrible.
It's scary is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even have children, but it's still scares the hell out of me. But
Yeah,
yeah.
it looks like sim online chatting.
Yeah. And I think you like created a character, but I mean, it had been in the news and everything before, um, about just like how everything else related to that has been for that same reason. Um, but yeah, no, when you guys were talking about that, it just made me remember that and just wanted to wanted to come in and say that really quick.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that, but
About the IMBU.
yeah, but I pulled it up and there's all kinds of stories here about predators and how they were using that
Yeah.
and what they do is they come on what they're doing now is they're using like Snapchat, Facebook, just regular things. They'll create like a fake profile claiming to be
Yeah.
a 13-year-old girl or a 13-year-old boy.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're extremely patient too.
Yeah. Yeah, they're playing the long game. It's scary as hell. Um,
Mhm.
like with Snapchat especially, they have that snap map where you pull up and you can pull up the thing and you may not even know that you have it turned on or something. And little do you know, whoever added you on Snapchat that you didn't even think twice about can see your location.
They're just watching you.
Yeah, yeah. And that's definitely, I mean, I don't think, as far as I can remember, I don't think that was available back in 2017. But, or maybe it was. I'm not exactly
Well,
sure.
I know that Farmer, he's one of our mods here. He did his own little investigation into the whole Yubo thing, the yellow
Uh huh.
app.
Yeah, yeah.
Snapchat was partnered with them in early 2017, and
Okay.
you could allow them to track through that app.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it was possible.
Oh man, dude. Yeah, that U-boat thing, that's a whole nother rabbit hole. That's just like scary in its own right.
I
I don't
covered a
know.
case out of Italy that they used Yubo, and what would happen is you would access a website on the dark web. You would pay your money, and then you would get the link to the Yellow app, and they would actually film snuff films and live murders and things like that.
Oh, oh
And if
my
you and
God.
if you paid extra, you can actually tell them what to do to the victim.
Yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about. I remember, um, in fact, there was a movie. It's on Netflix. It's got Idris Elba in it, and it's about this cop who tries to track down this serial killer, and that's what he starts doing. Is he starts hosting these rooms where people pay money and they can, tell what to do to torture people.
Yeah, I think they're
Um,
referred to a lot as red rooms.
yeah, red rooms. Yeah, yeah, and I wouldn't doubt it for a second if Keegan Kline. I mean, I wouldn't put anything past that guy. He's just disgusting. And
Yeah, and he's not gonna tell us the truth about what
oh,
he was
absolutely
really
not.
doing.
I mean, it blows my mind when I came to that realization of Keegan Kline, like when it really hit me that he is not involved in terms of the actual murders. Well, I mean, obviously I don't know this for sure, but when the evidence really started to point to that he really was just like, putting these cops
Mhm.
on and just wanted to get the hell out of his cell and do whatever. It just blew my mind because it's like I don't know who the hell is going to sit there and say, yeah, I did this totally brutal murder of these two girls. I mean, it just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, why would he do that? I mean, what is it? What's in it for him? He's already getting interviews. He's
Yeah,
already getting all the
yeah.
attention that he can handle. Why?
I don't.
Why say that your father did something that he didn't do?
Yeah, that's the whole. I mean, like, yet again, that's a whole other thing. I mean, this whole involvement of his dad.
I can't
I
wrap my
mean,
head around it.
maybe it's. I guess it's possible, And I mean, like I just, like I said, I don't put anything past the guy. Maybe him and his dad have this strange relationship. Maybe they're both into these dark things, and I don't know, but I don't know, man. That really threw me for a loop when I just, at least in my own opinion, when I started to really look at it and say, oh my God, I don't think this guy's involved in that part of it at all. I know he's involved in, doing what he did.
The CSAM stuff.
Yeah, the whole thing, the same thing that he was doing to, like he said, thousands of girls. But yeah, I was just like, I was so convinced just because of how, immersed in the whole conversation of the case
Anthony
in general.
Shots.
Yeah, this thing was called the Snapchat murders that's what, people who covered it on true crime channels and stuff, that's what they called it. And I just could not believe it. But yeah, I think it's the truth. And, something else too, I think, in the past, 'cause I watch your channel, I watch your lives a good amount. I finally kind of have started to want to get up to actually getting more involved in everything too. That's why I made my channel and everything. But
Yeah,
something
appreciate
something that you said before is talking about him and his, like, the control,
Mm-hmm.
Something I was kind of thinking about is how, I can't remember where I read it, but it was something like unofficial rumors, and it said something like police thought that it was a interaction shortly before the interaction on the bridge that might have been the catalyst, and maybe him feeling like he was losing control with his family or something. Maybe he said something to the girls and they said something back, and it pissed him off, and that could have done it. But I don't know. I constantly am trying to make sense of it, I guess, because it just makes no sense to me.
Oh, hi.
Let's welcome on Julia Burns. So we have Tinfoil Hat Club and Julia Burns joining us. Welcome on, Julia.
Hello.
So what do you think about what Tinfoil's talking about?
Yeah, sorry, I've been like trying to get my my StreamYard working. I've never entered this way, but no, I think one thing that's very interesting to me is that can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay, good. So I feel like, I mean, I do think that I don't know. So Kagan necessarily throwing his dad under the bus. Maybe his dad cut him off already just based on the fact that he's gotten so much, his life has been turned upside down, not only based on Kagan's involvement, but the fact that Kagan alluded to the fact that he could be involved. So maybe his dad's just pissed in the first place and just cut him off and like, all right, I'm not dealing with you anymore. So I don't know if that necessarily like says that he.
So you think like it's revenge? Like, oh, you're going to cut me off? Well, look what I do.
It could
Throw
go
you under
either.
the bus.
I'm just playing devil's advocate with myself, honestly, because I just like the rest of us, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, I just can't wrap my head around it. But I like what you were saying, Tinfoil, about what we know about Richard Allen in the day that he was on those trails.
Yeah.
They thought he was having a bad day.
How
didn't-
he glared at him.
Yeah, kind of scowled at them.
Yeah.
And we also heard from Becky Patty and Mike Patty that the girls would film people and kind of make fun of them and stuff.
Okay. That's kind of like a common, you can see that all over the internet, kind of kids kind of doing that.
And also, when we interviewed a guy named Julian Powell, he was interviewed and interrogated. And one of the things that they asked him was, were you out there taking photographs with your phone and the girls made fun of you and then you snapped? They asked him that.
Wow.
So,
Huh. That's interesting.
Well, I don't know. I could also see, and I think that is a good point, but I could also see, I mean, in any picture that I've seen of Richard Allen, even when he's with his wife, he doesn't look particularly happy.
Yeah, yeah. He always looks like he doesn't want to be there.
Right. So, like, as a stranger, I mean, you never know. If I could pass him and be like, oh, that, I don't know. I've never seen one picture of him that looks like he's.
I've only found one.
Oh,
Well, then there's the video of him jumping around all crazy in that bar.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was high as shit that day.
Yeah, either high or they're just drunk or whatever.
Or he's
Come on,
just
check this out.
big weirdo. I don't know.
Yeah, he is a fucking weirdo.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, especially
Despite
at the end of the day, if he did what he did, I mean, he's just a totally new
Yeah.
class of weirdo.
Yeah, even if he didn't do it, yeah, it's weirdo nonetheless.
This is
Oh,
the only
God.
one I've ever seen here.
Yeah, that's unflattering.
Oh god.
Oh man.
Do I need
Always.
the camera on? I don't know if you do that for StreamYard.
No, I'm not. I'm just keeping up this little blocker anyway, so it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I don't have mine on either.
I'm not even on it. Okay.
Yeah, so don't even worry about it.
Cool.
Yeah. No, man. I mean, I'm really curious about, like, I know I've heard you talk before about how, you've talked to some people that know him or grew up with him and stuff, and him being so
Mhm.
quiet. But I'm really, really curious, like some other people have said before too, about like if I was able to sit down with him one-on-one and just be like, dude, did you do this? I'm just really curious what his like whole demeanor would be. Or maybe he's just one of those guys that, every day you're gonna get something different.
I think he might be a clear case of psychopathy. So I think you'll get a little bit of superficial charm,
Yeah.
like when he
Yeah.
was interacting with Holman. Like I don't care what you do to me, but you leave my wife out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know who the other person on the call's name is.
Tinfoil Hat Club.
Yeah. What's up?
It's a nice one.
What's your name? Sorry, what's your
My-
name?
Julia.
Nice to meet you.
So yeah, nice to meet you. I heard you said you're 28, and then so am I, and I remembered the IMVU thing.
Yeah.
The Sims thing, and
Uh-huh.
it just reminded me of so this was back when like all those things were, I don't want to say in their infancy, but the early thousands ish. You'd always get those pop-ups on your, browser and stuff, of how you can interact with people. And
Yeah.
it got me thinking of how when I was nannying these two girls in, I think it would have been like 2016, and they had one of these little puppet things called like a talking Tom, I think it is what it was called. And
Okay.
and it's basically like connected to Wi-Fi, and it's I can't remember exactly how it worked, but it came through on this little puppet voice and saying stuff like I was in the kitchen just making their dinner and stuff, and I just heard in the talking Tom voice, "Oh, let me see what it looks like when you stick your tongue out." And I was like, "What?
What?
That cannot be like in the talking Tom manual or whatever. That's not what any toy for a kid should say." And then it was like, "Where do you live?" And it was in this creepy little
Oh
squeak
shit.
voice. Yeah.
Oh.
And so then she was starting to answer. I take it and I was like, "Go to your room." She goes, "Am I in trouble?" I'm like, "No, no. Just go." I was like panicking, and then
No, but this thing is.
yeah, yeah, and so like
We're all in trouble.
right, everybody's in trouble, but there was no way to track it. So like we called the police to kind of figure out where we could go from there, and they couldn't really trace the IP address based on this little stuffed toy. At that time, it was, again, a while ago. It was like over 10 years ago, but
Yeah.
so I don't know. It was just really weird how I think now technology, now that they know what's kind of going on, like law enforcement, they've got a keen eye on it and better ways to track it. But back then, like even just in 2017 with Abby and Libby, I think there could have been a lot that could have easily slipped through the cracks based on what they know. Who knows?
Yeah. Wait. So was this I was listening. Sorry, but I was thinking about the talking Tom thing. Was this an actual physical toy?
Yes, it was a physical toy.
Because there was an app too, and I do remember that. And if you Google talking Tom spying or talking Tom, spying on users thing, there actually was something about that. How there
Like
was
hacking it.
and
Oh,
you
hacking
could,
really?
into it.
yeah, you could actually, and if they even talked about if you zoomed in on the eye of the cat, you could actually see this guy sitting there. I'm not kidding. You could, if you look,
Oh wow,
I'm trying to find it right now.
that's creepy. What's it called?
Yeah.
Talking Tom.
Talking Tom. Yeah, it was an app. I remember it was an app like on the iPhone and stuff. And I think just like she said, like you could talk to it and it would talk back to you. But I think there was a guy that was doing that, and it was extremely creepy.
Oh, it's like a little cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much. You get an IP address, and the
No,
little
not
kid
at
says,
all.
"Oh, I'm leaving. I'm going to the park near my home.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you
God,
later."
dude. Oh my God, dude, I cannot imagine. You know.
And then they slowly they'll get information like what's your dog's name, or what's the name of your pets, and then they kind of figure out how to hack your Wi-Fi, and then they get into your cameras that you have
Yeah.
in your home.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I remember growing up. I remember that, like, kind of like when the whole drive to try to make sure that kids knew basic internet safety if they were to be in a position to talk to somebody that they don't know, and they would it was always things like, don't ever say where you go to school, don't ever say what city you live in, and
What's
but I
your mom
mean,
and dad's name?
yeah, but I mean, like, if you got somebody who is telling your child who is, however old, 10, 11, 12, that they are also a 10, 11, 12-year-old kid, boy or girl or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, their guard is down like no other. And
Yeah, they're even doing things like your mom and dad, they don't want us to be friends, so they're going to tell you things,
oh yeah,
try to
turning
keep us,
them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep, try to keep us apart.
It's evil, man. It's I have never before. I mean, I don't know if I'd say I'm necessarily like religious, but definitely spiritual in a lot of ways. And I've never before felt as though evil is really trying to weaponize trauma against these kids with everything that we've seen. The explosion of this targeting is just insane.
Well, that's what I was going to say, but I didn't
Yeah.
want to interrupt you guys. But law enforcement, they do have tools to help, but it seems like there's just so many predators that it's just overwhelming them.
Oh yeah, it's like trying to arrest every drug addict,
Yeah, it's not
It's the same
possible.
thing. They cannot, it's like they can't arrest their way out of this. It's going to take a lot more. It's going to take like real, change from children just trying. I mean, parents can only really do so much at the end of the day. Like, if you can get your kid to really like be vigilant about this, I guess that's the best defense. But at the same time, I mean, I'm
They
not
just
trying to
don't
say,
understand
They're gonna
really
find a
either.
way,
yeah,
like,
that's what I'm trying to say is I'm not blaming,
Yeah.
of course,
no,
but I'm
of
just,
course.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, kids, I mean, they'll find a way if they really want to. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I'm not blaming like I'm not blaming any kids. I'm not blaming it. I'm blaming the
Yeah.
predators, but I'm just
Oh,
saying
yeah.
like, there's a whole lot more access than there was back then too. So there's more access and more security, but it doesn't necessarily, I mean, it doesn't like, I don't know. It's just really, it's really sad. And I don't think that I don't know what the solution is. I don't think that there really is going to be. But kind of what you said, like evil weaponizing and stuff. Like I, whatever you want to call it, the skin just like the hair on the back of my neck like stands up when I like even talk about stuff like this.
Yeah.
And it's so, I don't know. It's really heartbreaking to know that I don't know that it's going to get any better. Because almost anybody can be a victim.
Oh yeah.
At this point, even as an adult, like there's really no like, even have you seen the show Catfish? Of course.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So like even I mean, those people on there are adults, and for the most part, I feel like, I don't know. It's wild that anybody can be really coerced into anything if they're given the right, if they're groomed the right way. It doesn't really take a whole lot, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, that
Scary.
story we covered not too long ago, it doesn't even have to be online. Families asked the young boy, I think he was 10 years old, to take out the trash. He took out the trash, and a predator just happened to be walking by at the exact same time.
Oh my God.
Forced him around the side of the house, raped him, and it took less than 5 minutes.
Jesus.
He was
That's
less than 5
insane.
years old.
He was 10.
I'm sorry, that cut out a little bit.
And he was 10. 10 years old.
God, dude, I just, I don't know what it is. Was that recent?
Yeah, it happened earlier this year, I think in New York.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Something that, like, I think about that too, about like trying to gauge whether or not this is something that like actually is happening more now, or are we just able to hear about it more now?
Social media.
Yeah, like, do we have more access to that information? Has it always been this bad, or like are we just now able to know about how bad it is?
Yeah, I often wonder that.
Yeah.
It might be both, you know?
Yeah, it could be both, which, I mean, ugh.
But yeah, I mean, we didn't always have Twitter and things like that. So the
Yeah,
world could have
true.
always been a shitty place. It just wasn't all being broadcast live.
Yeah, it just didn't have outlets for that shittiness, I guess.
I think about that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can look back to things that happened, even in the infancy of like MySpace, of young children getting groomed and things happening like that.
Stalking.
So, yeah,
like,
stalking.
you don't need to be groomed for somebody just to see your post and say, "Hey, I'm going to the park with my friends," and then they see that and they go to that park and stalk you from a distance.
Yeah.
Could have been what happened to Abby and Libby. We're going to the bridge. Somebody saw that and they went out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still pretty torn on that as to whether or not, because I like, especially with the recent hearings, I guess that idea of like coming to that realization of, man, maybe this really was just a chance thing. But I don't know. It just, I
think it
feel,
was.
yeah, I think there's probably a good chance it was, but I still have that in the back of my head that, like, I don't know. It seems like somebody knew they were going to be there. Who knew and who told who? I have no way of ever knowing. I have no way of even knowing if that's the case at all. But I don't know. It's just,
Well,
it's
that
strange.
whole I was supposed to meet that girl there that day, but she didn't show up.
Yeah, yet another weird Keeganism.
What the hell is all that?
Yeah, Keegan.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yep. Welcome
Okay,
back.
my bad. I don't know what happened. Go ahead.
Oh, just saying, just another strangeness with Keegan Klein. Just another way that he.
I can't let go of that. I don't know how he. I mean, maybe he is innocent. I don't know, but it's wild to me how there's just so many coincidences, but it's obviously possible. But I cannot let that whole thing go. There's just too much there for me.
Well, I guess the silver lining is the fact that he is in prison. He's going to be there for quite a while.
Yeah.
Whether or not he had anything to do with it, I guess only he will know. But I don't know. If he did, I guess if he did, he did say it, and the cops seemingly did their due diligence, I guess, and it was turned out to be bullshit. But
he doesn't make a good witness, you know.
Yeah, he makes. Yeah, he's not credible at all.
What if he confessed, but they didn't have enough to convict him with whatever evidence or lack thereof that he provided them? I feel like there could still be involvement.
Yeah, the David Kallenberger case is a good example. It's the same investigative team. Jerry Holman, he's the lead investigator on it. Brian Phillips came forward and said, I was there when they wrapped up the body and went and disposed of it. And the people are still out there because they don't have the body. Holman doesn't have enough to arrest, and they can't really use this guy's testimony because he's not credible either. He's got multiple felonies. He's the bomb threat guy, and he has ties to all these drug dealers, including in Delphi. So they can't really take his word for it without being able to, I guess, corroborate his story.
I wonder if that was the potential other players, if they did have any potential other players in mind, if they did have him in mind, or still do after arresting Richard Allen.
Well, what the hell is the motive? I mean, once we figure out the motive, I think we'll be able to figure out if others were involved. Like, was Richard Allen hired? Was like, what is he doing out there, and why is he motivated to kill 2 girls? Like, is he?
Yeah.
I just don't understand what the hell he
Yeah.
was doing. Why he did that?
And I bounce around too with the whole question of why he had weapons with him. I mean, obviously the kind of like one of the highlights of the hearings was the box cutter thing. And I guess like if that was the case, like if that was the case, that's what he used, that to me at least does point more towards the chance encounter thing, because him carrying a gun, like just being a guy who carries, I mean, that's not really uncommon, as you know. I mean, we both live in Arizona. We know it's
I
everywhere.
carry daily.
Yeah, same. So I mean, and also he's a smaller guy, so maybe that's just what he did, and he made him feel protected. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that he was an everyday carrier, but him carrying a gun, a knife, and like a knife, not just like his box cutter, but what, the type of knife that they talked about in the beginning, which was like supposedly like a Bowie knife, something that not many people are going to carry in tandem with a firearm. That does point to more towards like, oh yeah, he got information, he geared up and he went. But just the box cutter, that definitely points towards more like he just had it on him, like he always does.
I think it could have been kind of on the other side. So he could have had a box cutter because he was premeditating it. Because if he did have a knife that was, people knew that he had.
Yeah.
Like he could have just been like, okay, I'm going to use this box cutter, this generic box cutter I just got from Ace Hardware or wherever. So I think it could go both ways. I definitely see your point. I shit if I know what happened, but I think that would be a lot easier to cover it up. Just all he would have to do at that point would be to wipe his DNA from it.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the images here.
Yeah.
I mean, he and we're told by the witnesses that he was wearing a hoodie and then a jacket over that, the hood over his head, and then a face covering. Why? I mean, it was about 45 degrees that day, which is warm for them, and the girls were they were enjoying it. They looked like they were in Arizona.
Yeah.
In springtime.
Yeah.
So why is he dressed like this? What the hell's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely points to a disguise, I guess.
Unless he had a ton of stuff in his trunk and was just like, oh, I saw these random girls go and I'm in a jerk mood. I'm just gonna, go off them. But like, other than that, I really do believe that I've said it from the beginning. I strongly believe that he was premeditating this entire crime. And I do believe those 2 girls were the target. I don't really have much to back up that other than all the facts that have been presented to us. It's all circumstantial. For the most, other than the bullet, that's crazy. But I don't think he just randomly was, going on a stroll on that day, like at the exact same time. I think it's just too coincidental. And the big thing for me is the motive. Like I think that's going to link it all together and it will all make more sense once we know that, if we ever know that. I hope we do. Because it just, other than that, the motive is the one part for me right now that just makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember in the past, Sleuth, you talked about him, like the possibility of it being like an inappropriate relationship, possibly even with it being with Abby.
Well, Valentine's Day kind of leans towards that.
And that's definitely, I mean, something that, like, maybe not necessarily a relationship, but I know it has been thrown around that he knew her mother, and maybe maybe he didn't even talk to her very much, but he was indeed like stalking her
Hey,
And
that's a good point. I never thought of that. He spent a lot of time at the bars, and I think she worked at a couple different bars during that time.
yeah, so I mean, like the girls could have not even known him one bit, but he, was very aware of who at least Abby was, and
In his
he,
head, he probably, thought he knew them.
yeah, yep. I mean, it still doesn't necessarily explain why he engaged in that behavior, him being who he is, just this random dude. But I mean, a common theme is like we'll never know his
He could
intention.
easily. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's I'm done.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say he could easily he seems like somebody who could fly under the radar. Like this is kind of a weird example, but like think of, you know, school shooters. They're the quiet kids that don't,
Mhm.
cause a ruckus or anything like that. But then one day they snap and nobody sees it coming, or supposedly. But it could kind of be the same thing. Maybe like Richard Allen was just kind of like hiding under the radar, had all this pent up angst and anger, and just had to take it out. Like maybe, like you said, Abby's mom worked at, I think some cafes and bars and stuff. So, maybe the girls came in after school one day, and like while she was finishing up her shift, there could be like, I mean, small town, I'm sure it's very, very possible they could have run into each other, and, maybe he got fixated on one or both of the girls and like worked it into his fantasy. And then, like after everything, in his life, like I know Sleuth, you mentioned like his brother-in-law passing away, his daughter moving out, like maybe he just snapped and was like, all right,
Well, when it comes to psychopathy and these people who commit murders out of nowhere, like family annihilators who decide they're going to shed one family for a new one, they always say, "Oh, well, I was extremely stressed out. I don't know why I did it. I've just been under a lot of stress." Like that's not a real reason,
no, yeah,
but that's often the answer.
Yeah.
it's their answer, but there's more to it, whether they know it or not.
Yeah, and they know it, but they're not going to tell us. Anything that makes them look bad or like scum, or they leave that part out always.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, pleading his sanity would probably be his best case at this point. That I mean, unless he gets real lucky and just gets off scot-free, I don't see that happening. But
Well, he could be a psychopath and not be insane. Like as long as you don't have a disconnect from reality, you're not really considered insane. You have to, if you know that what you're doing is wrong, you can still be considered a psychopath and stand trial.
yeah, and I feel like that's probably what he is. And if he was insane, I mean, like, I don't know how easy it is to fake that, but I mean, I know they have experts, but
And he could go insane. I think him eating his feces and drinking toilet water could be psychosis.
or desperation.
Yeah, or he could be faking it, right?
Right.
How many
I
mob
agree.
bosses do we know tried that
If you're
approach?
if you're facing the death penalty and like losing your entire family, I feel like you could easily, like, I'm so sorry, one sec. Sorry about that. If you're facing the death penalty and losing your family, I think shit, well, I don't know what I would do if if I were in that position, even if I were innocent. So but I
Well,
think
Israel Keys, all he cared about was his daughter. That's it. He didn't care about nothing else. He just cared about the way he may have been perceived by her once she found out that he was a serial killer. That's the only thing he cared about in this entire world. And that could be the very motive for Richard Allen killing those girls. He's a sick fuck. He commits these murders, and the only reason he killed them is because he didn't want his daughter to find out that he's a sexual sadist or whatever.
wait, so he killed them. Oh, okay. So if he like did something prior to them or to any
No,
other.
just him having that compulsion that day and forcing them down the hill. Like he's already gone too far, right? He's just committed kidnapping.
Yeah.
And if he's trying to sexually assault them and they're not doing, which I think he did do, that's the only reason why he would have to kill them. But once he's committed a sexual assault, he's thinking, oh shit, I'm going to get in trouble. My wife and my daughter are going to know that I'm a creep and I'm not, who they think I am. They're going to
Yeah.
find out who I really am. This guy that I fantasize about in my head, this monster. They're going to come to the realization that I'm a piece of shit guy. I can't have that. That's all I have.
I
Yeah.
wonder though, like in the crime, so if he was not planning on killing them, I mean, he only had so much time, and maybe in a lot of ways I feel like he did get very lucky. But how could he have known to, I don't know, does washing off the body just with water erase all DNA?
It can. If we learn anything from people like Joel Rifkin, he says he was trying to tell us about the Long Island serial killer, and he said that them being found near a body of water was not by mistake, and that he would often do the same thing because he would use the water to wash away the evidence. But I think what was going on with Richard Allen is he had that compulsion, that impulse. Like he probably thought, well, I'm going to go over there. I see them struggling to cross the bridge. He saw Abby struggling. So he's like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sexually assault them right over there on the south end of the bridge and just bail out of here. But when he got across that bridge, he started adapting it to his situation and saying, well, since I got you here, I'll just take you down the hill now and I'll attack you down there. So he just kept assessing the situation and adapting to it, and eventually it just got so out of control that it ended up with what we have now.
I agree. I think that could definitely be like he was just doing, I don't think he necessarily knew exactly where he was going, but just kind of general direction to get them, off of the public path. And Ron Logan, from what I've seen, has a big property. So I could definitely see a scenario where, because, people say like, oh, how could he control two young girls? I'm like, well, there's lots of ways. You can control two young women, two young men, if you have the right tools.
Two grown men.
Yeah, exactly. And so I could see a scenario certainly where, maybe Libby was like running ahead, or they were both running. He caught Abby and then was like, hey, if you keep running, I'm gonna kill your friend right here. And then she's like, okay, like, I'm gonna like stay back, stay
Well,
with
they
him.
lie too. They lie. They say, if you just do what I say, I promise I will let you go.
Yeah.
Go down that hill. I promise if you just do what I say, I plan to do this, this, and that, and then I'm gonna let you go. I promise. But you have to do what I say.
Constant reassuring.
Exactly. And even if they did split up and then he caught up to, and like I could definitely see another scenario where like after they get, up and across the creek and he's about to assault or do whatever he's going to do to one or both of them, one of them like runs off, and like even if it was like, oh, do what you say kind of thing, and they panic, like I could see where Libby's like running in throughout the trees, like kind of hiding and like looking around, and then like Abby, like he has Abby, or he gets a grip of Abby and is like, I'm gonna kill your friend if you don't come out here right now.
Yeah, she would come back.
Yeah, exactly. And because you're in an impossible situation, and like what, God, I don't even know what I would do as.
And they weren't expecting that, right? They're not expecting to be killed.
No, absolutely not. I don't think that they. I mean, they're in a rural farm town community. They're like, that's not their. That, I mean, from what I've heard, it doesn't sound like that's their. They don't deal with that around there.
Yeah, and that was even kind of evident in the way that it was handled in the beginning, law enforcement wise.
Oh yeah, they were shocked.
They dropped the ball. Yeah, in a lot of ways, I think. But
yeah, inexperience, I think, had a lot to do with this.
Yeah.
I can't tell who's talking. You guys both have a very similar voice. A little.
What was I just gonna say? Oh, like you were talking about, so about the idea of I have to now kill them because I don't want my family to figure out that I'm, like you said, like a sexual sadist. That does kind of make some sense, because if you think about what the things that get said to people sometimes in court, men that are convicted of things like rape or any kind of sexual assault, something that often is said is like, especially if they had a family, like a wife and a daughter, they'll say, how could you do this to a woman when you have women in your life that you love? How could you be so sick to do this? And I mean, I guess that's possible that that's kind of how he felt that would go down. And maybe he thought that in some way murder is going to make less of an impact on the way that they look at him than a sexual assault. But I don't
Yeah,
know.
he's been hiding it his entire life. If he's this quiet guy, like everybody says, who knows what's going on in his head, and we don't know what he went through as a child.
Yeah,
He was pretty
exactly.
much abandoned by his father. I think he even had a stepdad, and from what I understand, his first stepfather was a very important man in that small town of Mexico. So we don't know what he went through. So if he is suffering from psychopathy, for all we know, he could be blaming his mother for what he did. He could be blaming his wife for what he did, and
Yeah.
even blaming his daughter. Like, it's their fault that I did what I did. If they
Yeah.
wouldn't have treated me this way, I wouldn't have to go regain my power.
Yeah. If you would have just listened to me. Or, yeah.
Yep.
I wonder if he was, a decoy. What could anybody give him other than maybe threatening to expose him for X, Y, and Z? Maybe he was into, something else like less grisly, and they're like, all right, if you don't kidnap these kids, then we're gonna, tell everybody that you did this or something like that. That's something
Well,
that
he's motivated. What is he motivated by? Is he motivated by his compulsion? Is he
Yeah.
hired to go film a snuff, during a certain circumstances, and he's offered a whole lot of money?
or
Because he's
even just to
definitely
kidnap them,
to what?
just to like kidnap them like down the hill.
What do you
Yeah.
mean?
That was
Yeah.
his job.
Oh yeah, like there's somebody
Yeah.
waiting down the hill.
Right. So
Yeah.
like what would his motivation be? Like set by whoever.
Money,
But yeah.
wedding, and a funeral. That's a financial burden.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. That's true.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Nobody does.
Yeah, no, that is a great point. It really is, because, like, again, the common theme of we're never going to know what was going on in his head. But at the same time, that is a really, really sharp thing to point out, because, if that was the motivation and you look at what was going on in his life at that time, okay, yeah, he was a guy who needed money. But, if he was just the kidnap guy, how the hell, he, again, going back to how normal of a guy he was, what circle did he somehow find himself in that all of a sudden, he was involved in this?
Drugs.
It's just, yeah, drugs. It could be drugs. And also, I think someone in the chat too, they said something about alcohol. Yeah, right here, Lady Monet said, don't know how much alcohol he had consumed. I think it was said like he was pretty much an alcoholic. He had an issue. In that first booking photo, he's got that puffy face with I can spot it. I've known many. So, that could definitely be it too. As we all know, alcohol makes people do lots of crazy things, and so do drugs.
Yeah, every dumb thing I've ever done in my life, it had alcohol involved.
Yeah.
To me, this shows me drugs right here. This is that whole floppy fish thing.
Yeah.
And
that was odd.
and the post that his wife made on here was like, oh, I did karaoke for the first time, and we haven't even drinking one sip of alcohol. Well, that's because they're probably high on some shit.
Yeah, but we are super high.
And look how skinny he is. This is like a month before
Yeah.
the murder, a month and a half before the murders.
Yeah, maybe they were like on like a sober kick, because if he's drinking heavily, it's gonna show. It takes that toll on the body. You get puffy and bloated, and it's it's not hard to see.
Well, also,
And
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm done. What's up?
Sorry, I keep interrupting everybody.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was just thinking, like, if he was like trying to go on a sober cook or whatever, he's gonna have to have something else to, like, feed his high in whatever way.
Yeah.
Pretty common. So and even if it, maybe it was present before. This is obviously all speculation, but he could have been on, like, I'm not so familiar with the drugs you kids do these days, but some upper of some sort, or I don't know. He could easily, like in that video, the weird fish dance thing, that was bizarre. So if he was sober, then I don't know, because it doesn't seem like he was somebody that could easily get out of his shell, just sober any day. Even
Yeah.
people he knew. Again, I'm basing this just solely based on the photos that I've seen and the Facebook posts and everything like that. So I can't give like an accurate, depiction, but that's my take on it. So I just think it's possible that, he maybe had some social anxiety going on and kind of got himself into like a bind where he started using drugs and alcohol to kind of alleviate that, to keep up with, his wife and his family, so that he could feel more comfortable around people during, events and
Yeah.
and such. I don't know.
Absolutely. No, I mean, that's a great point. I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
many people have that whole social anxiety. I mean, I have it myself. It's definitely something that before it's dealt with in a like clinical sense, a lot of people self-medicate before they get to that point. So yeah.
Right. No, I have it too, but people who maybe don't have access to the right medical resources
Yeah.
or have health insurance and stuff. Anyways, like I don't know, but that's just kind of what it reminded me of.
Yeah. Wait, is it confirmed that he did actually check himself into a facility at one point?
I'm not sure about that. There's a
'Cause I know,
story of him apparently having a situation with alcohol, and he was given an ultimatum from the officer. His wife said, "Well, he can either go check himself in to such and such facility, or you can go ahead and take him to jail."
oh wow.
And
Huh.
he checked himself in, but it sounded like more like a rehab.
Yeah, yeah. It could rehab, or I even heard like the word hospital get kind of thrown around before.
Mhm.
Like, I want him to go to the hospital. Maybe it was, but I mean that's a good indicator right there. I mean, if maybe he is a super angry guy. I mean, again, for somebody to do this, yeah, they obviously are angry in some aspect, but in terms of just the talk of him being a super normal guy that, this totally blindsided people that he knew, if he's got that going on to where his wife has to call 911 because he's just like belligerent and just, wreaking
Out of
havoc.
control.
Yeah.
Do you think he Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, I'm
Sorry.
done. No, it's okay. It's okay.
Do you think maybe he could have just opted out for the psychological evaluation or the mental hospital, whatever, just so he doesn't have anything on his criminal record because maybe he had priors?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but I mean, I guess that's another question though too. I mean, is it like confirmed that other than that incident that he had no priors?
I don't know, but he could, like, if he did, like, even something like a DUI or MIP, aggravated assault, battery, domestic, whatever,
Yeah, this would have been like a domestic.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like I
Oh,
don't
then
want
why
to
would he
want
go
to
to
place
the?
charges if he agrees to go to this hospital or whatever. Like
Oh, okay, but why would he go to the like why would he choose to go to the precinct instead? I mean, like
yeah,
what would be the pros and cons to each? I mean, the only one that I can think of, I've, never been in jail or at
he
a mental
probably
health,
wanted the help. He probably knew there was something wrong with him. He probably
but
thought that
like
was a good idea. Like, yeah, maybe I need to go to a hospital.
maybe, but if he's as crazy as he's showing, and that could definitely be possible, but like if he's as crazy as he seems he is, like maybe he's thinking like, oh, maybe like I won't get in as much trouble if I just comply with whatever they're going to put me through here. And it's probably going to be a lot less worse than it would be if they put me into jail.
Yeah, I think that's exactly
I
what he
don't
did.
know.
Yeah, because he has
Yeah.
no priors. But I think his psychopathy, if he is this monster that we think he is, it could be laying dormant. That's why I keep bringing up these family annihilators. A lot of them, they don't have any priors, no criminal history, no violent tendencies, and then one day, they just decide to shed their family and gain a new one. So just because he's out here playing pool doesn't mean he's like some kind of social guy or he's a normal guy. You know, that's what people keep saying. Like, oh, he was just a regular guy. What? Because you played pool with him, you know, every
Yeah.
Thursday? Like, you don't know anything about this guy. Oh, because you
Yeah.
worked beside him, you don't know anything about him.
He could have been high off his ass, and anybody who doesn't know anything about that could have just seen right through that.
Yeah, and they're chameleons too. So he's just
Yeah.
being what he needs to be, and then at break time when he's in his car, he could be pulling out the burner phone, using the McDonald's Wi-Fi, and going onto the dark web.
Yeah, dude. I saw that when you talked about that in one live. That's like a really, really well thought out. When you said that, I was like, oh shit, dude, makes a lot of sense. That, like, in terms of like the lack of there being the digital footprint of him, you know, being somebody like that, you know, and you're even talking about, you know, maybe he put it right in front of this thing here. It was like one of those little electrical box things.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
you want to know what gave me that idea? A while ago, I worked with this girl, and I feel bad because I didn't tell her husband, but she had 2 phones.
Oh.
And she was just cheating on her husband. And her husband would show up with her 2 kids, these beautiful baby girls. And she would act so happy and this and that. But as soon as he would leave, she would talk about this boyfriend that she had and all this crazy sex they were having. And
oh man.
and she just kept her phone at work. She never took it home. The only time she communicated with this guy was at work.
Yeah. So to her husband, that phone doesn't even exist.
Yeah. So that's kind of like she was kind of showing some type of psychopathy, you know what I mean? Some selfish, narcissistic weirdness, you know?
Real manipulative behavior.
Yep.
Jesus. Yeah. No, I mean, that's makes a lot of sense. Especially when you throw in the McDonald's Wi-Fi thing. I mean, hell, at that point, he's absolutely nothing in terms of a cell phone or anything going through his broadband at home is just like out of the question.
No
There's going to be
footprint
nothing
at
there.
all. Yep, nothing at all.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I gotta head out, but thank you guys for your time. Bye, Sleep.
Yeah.
Bye, Tin Man, or sorry, I forgot your name.
Tinfoil. Yeah, we're gonna close it out right now anyway.
Okay,
Thanks, Julia.
right.
Have a good one.
Cool. Thank you.
All
Have a
right,
good one.
catch you guys later. Bye.
Have a good one. All right, brother. Hey, I really appreciate you let me come on and talk. I've never done this before. This is the first time, so
yeah, appreciate it. I think
appreciate
we had a good discussion. So thank you.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you. All right, have a good night, everybody.
All right, take care, Tinfoil.
Later on, bro.
Bye. All right, guys. Well, this is a pretty good show. Let me go ahead and just say hello to a lot of you folks walking in. I think we had Dan pop in. Good to see you, Curious Contrarian. Anything I like. Misty, always good to see you. Lady Monet, Cindy, Humanimo, hello. We had Tinfoil Hat Club and Julia Burns. So shout out to them for calling in. And also we had a quick call from Kiwi. Thank you for the donation. Julia, thank you so much for the super chat. And Cheeks for hooking somebody up with a membership. I'm not quite sure who caught that one. But shout out to them. Joey, welcome in. Mustang. Cindy says detox. I think it was a detox. Because there was he wasn't being given any kind of medication prior to him being locked up. The first time he ever received any type of medication that would, indicate that he was under like psychosis or needing to be calmed down medically was while he was in jail or prison, I guess. Misty Free Spirit, good to see you. True Crime Fangirl. Road Dog, how are you? Yeah, it looks like he is wearing that beanie. I think he might be wearing that beanie, or he's wearing his Route 66 hat. Caricature. My guy Anthony, always good to see you, my friend. Boston Christian. Jari. Vertigo. All right, guys, it is my bedtime. So you guys all enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks for hanging out on this quick little live stream. Everybody who called in, we'll do this again from time to time. And I'll see you again real soon. So take care of yourselves. Good night.